joining in. Well, just to complete that point and get that perspective on this whole FPI matter, we have with us Keyur Shah, who's partner and National Leader Financial Services at EY India. Keyur, great to have you on the line. It's a really complex matter, so that's why I gave the background earlier. But just to come to the crux of the matter, the whole issue lies in who has gotten exemption from this disclosure requirement and who hasn't. And I believe that, this matter went up to SEBI. People are sort of making applications, and I heard maybe even going up to SAT. So what is the resolution and what happens now that this deadline is taking place today?
So again, Surbi, I wanted to just break down the problem. Let's just understand what the issue was. 24th of August 2023 is when the circular was issued by SEBI. They said if you had assets in India which were more than 25,000 crores, or you held more than 50% in a single corporate group, then you needed to disclose up to your, made disclosures up to your ultimate beneficial owner. And this came out in August. And then, as you rightly pointed out earlier, you had to comply by February. And if you didn't comply, then you had to start winding down by after February. And you had up to 180 days to wind down, which ends on 9th of September. Now, the only thing is that what we've seen is that, yes, you are right. Lots of people have made some application for exemption because they had said that if you were a regulated entity, you could make an application and SEBI would give you an approval. But also, look, this, as you pointed out, has been there for a long time now. It is more than a year that this circular was notified. So for most of our clients, at least, what we've seen is that those who felt that they were not going to be able to comply, they were anyway, slowly winding down or getting into what SEBI wanted. Because what SEBI also said is that if you have more than 25,000 crores, you please wind down and get within the limits. Or if you had more than 50%, you please wind down. So I don't think that this would be a cause of concern at a market at large perspective. Of course, there will be a few FPIs who would have made that application and therefore, would be struggling given that SEBI may or may not have responded. And that is something which we will need to figure out. But in my mind, it is not something which is a cause for a large disruption right now because this is something which was known. It's not a big surprise.
Okay, got it. So I think from a market perspective, that offers us some relief and some clarity that this should not be impacting a very large cross-section of FPI. So we're not talking about massive AUM. Perhaps that has to be wound up or has to be sold down. So that would be some relief. But Keyur, just to complete the point, there was this China angle as well. I think there was some issue about whether an FPI is China-owned and controlled, and then whether that will be allowed or not allowed, will they sell?
Yeah.
So what are the remaining outstanding issues, and is there any reason to believe that we could get more volatility from an FPI perspective in the coming days as well?
So look, what happened was that after this circular was issued, I think there was a lot of advocacy which happened around this point. And people were asking, I think, SEBI in terms of what was the intent behind this circular. And then on June 30th, they came out, this year that is, they came out with a consultation paper, which has not yet got notified, whereby they said that, look, the primary purpose of this whole asking for ultimate beneficial ownership was to understand if you had people who are investing from land bordering countries from India. And this goes back to our whole press note 3 related issue in the good old days. And that consultation paper basically said that we will break up FPIs into 3 categories. And this is, again, only applicable to those FPI who fulfill this criteria, which is more than 25,000 crores and or having more than 50% in an single Indian corporate group. So they said that if more than 50% of your owners are from China, then you please intimate us and we will let you know what kind of disclosures you need to make. If you have less than 50%, but above 33% ownership of Chinese, then you need to fulfill this criteria and you need to make all the disclosures which are required under the August 24th circular. And if you're less than 33% Chinese owned, and I'm just using China as an example, it could be Pakistan and or any other country land bordering India, then you needed to, then you were scot-free, then you don't need to make any of the disclosures which are required. The whole thing around this was that people felt that then that would even be better, right? Because what you are doing is that while you had the overall threshold in terms of disclosure requirements, you are bringing this down further to say that only, those people who are investing into India through a particular landlocked country were getting covered by this circular. So it was more of a dispensation making life easier. But unfortunately, that consultation paper has not seen the light of day yet. And therefore, we'll have to see how that one evolves. But it's only going to make life easier, not more difficult.
So, but basically, I guess the long and short of it is that the rules that will determine who gets exemption from the purview of this circular, those rules have not finally been decided, deliberated upon and formalized, right? We're still awaiting the formal notification and final rules from SEBI on that. Is that right?
Yes and no, in the sense that if you were fulfilling the criteria under August 24th, you had to disclose. If you, then what happened was on June 30th, they came out with a larger concession because they said that we'll restrict this only to landlocked countries. That concession has not been notified. Therefore, if you are under the overall umbrella where you were fulfilling the criteria under the old rules, you will need to disclose. So that's the way it is.
Okay, all right. Fair enough, Keyur. Thank you so much. Complex matter. One just hopes that this sort of settles and there is no immediate knee-jerk reaction as far as equity sales are concerned, in the market. Thank you so much for joining in and clarifying some of those important points. Well, that's a view on this whole FPI issue and.